AITA for faking my own death to expose my husband's affair with my sister, then showing up at my own funeral to confront them? I, 34 female, have been married to my husband John, 36 male, for 10 years. On the surface, we had what looked like a perfect marriage, beautiful house, successful careers, and everyone thought we were the ideal couple. But for the last year, I had a growing suspicion that something wasn't right. John was distant, often working late, and becoming increasingly secretive with his phone. My gut told me something was wrong, but I didn't have any proof. That is, until I accidentally discovered the truth in the most gut-wrenching way possible. I found a hidden burner phone in John's car, filled with explicit messages and photos between him and another woman. My heart sank as I scrolled through the messages, realizing that the woman wasn't just some random fling. It was my younger sister, Claire, 29 female. They had been having an affair for over a year, meeting up in secret and using me as the excuse to cover their tracks. I was devastated. But rather than confront them immediately, I decided to take things to an extreme level. I wanted them to feel the same pain and betrayal that I felt, and I knew that a simple confrontation wouldn't be enough. So, I devised a plan that would expose them in the most dramatic and public way possible. I started by planting the seeds of my illness. Over the next few weeks, I began complaining of headaches, dizziness, and exhaustion. I visited several doctors, who I knew wouldn't find anything wrong. But I made sure John overheard me discussing serious health concerns on the phone with friends. I also left fake medical bills and hospital brochures around the house, alluding to a life-threatening condition. John seemed concerned, but I noticed he was still sneaking away to be with Claire. Then, I staged my own death. I waited until John was out with Claire, supposedly on a business trip, and had a close friend help me create the perfect setup. I left a detailed suicide note claiming that I couldn't bear the pain of my illness and that I was sorry to leave everyone behind. My friend helped me disappear for a few days while I arranged the rest of my plan. When John returned home, he found the note and called the police, who launched a search for my body. For the next week, I watched from a distance as my family and friends mourned my death. My parents were heartbroken, and John put on the performance of a lifetime, crying, holding vigils, and playing the role of the grieving husband. But what sickened me the most was how Claire moved in to comfort him, using my death as an opportunity to get even closer. Then came the day of my funeral. It was a massive event. Friends, family, co-workers, and neighbors all gathered to pay their respects. I had a private investigator film everything from a hidden location so I could see who showed up and what they said. I watched as John and Claire sat together, holding hands and whispering, looking more like a couple than ever. I could hardly believe the nerve of them. When the service began, the priest spoke about my life and how I had been taken too soon. John gave a tearful eulogy, talking about how much he loved me and how he couldn't imagine life without me. Claire was right beside him, dabbing her eyes with a tissue and pretending to be the grieving sister. That's when I made my move. Just as the service was reaching its emotional peak, I walked through the doors of the church, dressed in black, with my face hidden under a veil. The gasps that echoed through the room were exactly what I wanted. People were frozen in shock, and I could see John's face go white as he realized who I was. Claire let out a small scream, dropping her tissue as she stared at me like she had seen a ghost. I slowly walked down the aisle, letting the tension build. When I reached the front, I lifted my veil and looked directly at John and Claire. "Surprised to see me?" I said, my voice cutting through the stunned silence. John stumbled backward, mumbling incoherently. Claire looked like she was about to faint. The rest of the attendees were in an uproar, some crying, others shouting in confusion. My parents, completely confused and overjoyed to see me alive, rushed to embrace me, but I held up my hand to stop them. "This whole charade was to reveal the truth," I said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "The truth about John's affair with my sister Claire. They've been betraying me for over a year, and I wanted everyone to know who they really are." The room exploded into chaos. My parents were screaming at John and Claire, demanding answers. My friends were horrified, and guests began to leave in disgust. John tried to explain, stammering that it wasn't what it looked like. But it was too late. Their reputations were in ruins. Claire burst into tears, begging me for forgiveness, saying that she never wanted to hurt me, but I just laughed in her face. "You deserve each other," I said coldly. "You can both rot in the mess you've made." The fallout was catastrophic. John lost his job after the scandal spread, and Claire was ostracized by the family. Our parents disowned her, and she's been struggling to rebuild her life ever since. John and Claire's relationship didn't survive the public humiliation, and they both went their separate ways, hated and despised by everyone who knew them. As for me, I felt vindicated. I knew my actions were extreme, but I didn't care. They needed to feel the pain and betrayal they inflicted on me, and I wanted the world to see them for who they really were. Now, some people say I went too far, that faking my death was cruel and that I should have handled it differently. But I don't regret it. They destroyed my life, so I destroyed theirs. I'm starting over now, free from their lies and manipulation. AITA for faking my own death to expose my husband's affair with my sister and showing up at my own funeral to confront them.